I have an overall experience of 13 years and 8-9 months now. And talking of my education, I have a BE and I have an MBA in IT, right? Having said that, I started off as a developer, and later I moved on to roles that were BA and also PM of sorts combined. Now, since I am a senior BA, I understand how PM works to a great extent. In fact, I have been a part of efforts, negotiations, etc., which are core PM aspects with some of my clients as well in my previous roles. Having said that, I joined Interview Kickstart last year when I was exploring for an opportunity for myself, right? I was in search of a job. I was available immediately for the next opportunity, and I wanted to get aligned to something that I have always been doing, because I have the experience and the exposure and also the kind of expertise that this experience and exposure brings along with it. I wanted to put that to best use to anywhere that I go, right? Plus, in such a way that it also enhances my profile, positions me well for my career going ahead in the future. And so while searching, when you are actually in a job, you are not in that zone of actually giving interviews. So I remember in some of my previous attempts, I'll be very honest and open and frank with you, because I'm very sure anyone who watches this will be like a junior to me in the Interview Kickstart, and I don't want to hold anything back. So I remember in some of my past experiences, while being in a job and just going and appearing for an interview, gave very bad results at times, because you are not in that zone of interview. So interview actually requires, no matter my proficiency, no matter my skills, no matter my knowledge, but interview is a skill in itself, right? So preparing for an interview is very different from what you do in your role. Although that experience, it all adds up, but that is a different zone. And as and when I started exploring more on the net, and also through my networks, friends, ex-colleagues and all, I realized the need for a specialized coaching or training, as you may call it, that would help me appear for interviews and get me into that specific zone. Most importantly, the mindset is very different when you appear for an interview and as compared to when you go about your daily deliverables, right? So while searching, I came across Interview Kickstart on some online platform. I don't know, was it social? I don't exactly remember which platform it was, but I remember having while browsing online, I came across this. Yeah, and when I explored the reviews, etc., of Interview Kickstart, I saw some very good reviews, and not just from an interview preparation perspective, but also for the kind of foundations, the knowledge the coaches bring to the table here at Interview Kickstart. So I remember that when I started exploring within Interview Kickstart, I realized that I actually could not just prepare for the role that I currently am into. I could actually prepare for roles that were similarly aligned, and a couple of more roles would open up as well if I went through the kind of training that Interview Kickstart was offered. So since I was a BA, I was very much eligible for TPMs or now also product managers. I mean, all this combined with the kind of content that was available, where I saw some reviews from people who had even transitioned to FANG and MAANG, and I thought this was a good place to prepare for my next break. because I had not appeared for interviews for around 2 years before before I actually started searching with IK. But in my experience, what I have realized is, if I am to correlate in some way to education, academics, when you go in for an exam, right, the kind of approach that you need to have for the questions that will come to you have to start at a certain level of understanding and knowledge. So your fundamentals have to be very good, first of all. So what happens is, when you are not in the interview zone, you don't go through these things regularly. First thing that happens, a lot of things you might have been good at certain point in time, but over the course of your role and deliverables, it gets left behind so much that you sometimes, I was best at ABC 5 years ago, but now when I think about it, I really have to sit down and spend 5 minutes. Arey, ye kya tha? What exactly was this? So the first and foremost thing that happens is, it brings you back to your basics, right? The basics are the most important, right? Not just subject matter, also how you approach an organization. What is a particular role like? What is expected out of you? And you start thinking, looking at yourself from the interviewer's point of view and interviewer's eyes. So that drastically enhances the way, the approach that you had earlier, and once you actually go through these trainings and all. So that shift is very important, right? That I would call it 180 degree shift that happens once you get into that zone, and most importantly, you put in efforts, right? You put in efforts, you put in time, and that is how it helps. Yeah. When I joined, I was a part of Fast Track because I was immediately available. So in the Fast Track batch, I actually could focus and put in more efforts. And then I realized the kind of foundations that I built over the course of, say, 15 or 20 days preparing with it. I found myself in a place where I started getting, I was having my options for interview calls open all across, not just IK. So I started cracking interviews like first round, second round, third round, final round. And this happened for not just one. This happened with me for at least 3-4 companies. And I found myself in a place where I could align and choose the best offer that was coming. And I actually found myself in a place that I did clear multiple rounds of interviews with a couple of organizations and some very good names in the market. For almost 2 years, I was not even applying for any jobs outside. I was so kind of comfortable in the job that I was on to, unless there was a need for me to start searching. So the difference, I think, is in over the years of my experience, where I have cracked a couple of very difficult interviews, and then there have been cases where I have not cleared also, like any other professional, right? The difference is, in Fast Track program, there's a proper plan. Day 1 this has to be done, day 2 this has to be done, day 3 this has to be done, day 4 and so on and so forth. And it starts building on concepts from basics to one level, to the second level, to the third level. This is about content and the knowledge transfer that happens from the coaches. Other most important thing that I found was the availability of coaches who I could connect to. The live sessions with the coaches, wherein I could actually log in, check in with of all the available coaches, whoever I wanted to discuss and ask about any questions that I would have in mind with respect to any doubts that I would have with respect to or kind of even be a step ahead in preparation as to this is what I have done, what do you think should be next, or how do you think I should be taking this up, so on and forth. So those live sessions helped a lot. And then talking about the platform, since we were also talking about fast track program, there's a very good support team. So anytime I logged a ticket with any concerns, promptly there was a response. I was either, if it was in their purview to solve it, they would solve it, or at least they would align me to wherever the problem can be answered. So be it content, be it availability of coaches who would help you clarify any blocks that you have, or the kind of support team that was there. I think all these combined helped me, as I told you, align myself to that zone, have that kind of a focus, and I was now ready to go and face and crack any interview that comes in the way. For this question, the best answer is to give some motivation. But before that, the funda that I follow in my life is discipline is always greater than motivation. When motivation fizzles out, discipline is what keeps you going. But always remember, I recently came across a video from Roger Federer, right? He said, in my entire career, of all the games that I played, I won 80%, which is a very good score. But if you talk of sets, I won only 54% of all the sets that I had played. So what matters is how well you understand your game, right? Fundamentally, how well you have structured and planned what is it like to crack, right? So first thing is, at times the markets are not good. You realize that, and finding the kind of opportunity is not a one-day thing. Sometimes it might take time. So be patient. Patience is another virtue that you need to have. And more importantly, when you have the opportunity at hand, you have to make sure that it goes through by being in the zone.